I know this here is like a little pop up type of deal, whatever. But there's been a lot of debates about the traffic stop in Jacksonville. Um, I'm gonna look at four, four different tapes. We're gonna look at a tape from Uncivil Law, a take from Officer Tatum himself, a take from the lead attorney, and a take from Real Nathan Daly. So with that being first, we're gonna go into a take from Real Nathan Daly, who was, I believe, he was a cop in Atlanta. Let's get into it.
Law enforcement breakdown. This one is going viral, you guys. A lot of people are asking the $1 million question. Was this justified? Was the officer
Oh,
justified in
let
the
me get
traffic
on the
stop?
microphone.
Or was the citizen wrong? A lot of people are confused about this, you guys. Listen, I'm going to give you all the real information that you need. I am a 13-year law enforcement veteran and expert witness who specializes in police policy,
Hold
procedures,
on.
and use of force. So listen, I'm going to give you the one-on-one on what actually was wrong and who's at fault. And listen, my thoughts is they're both wrong. And I'm giving my thoughts after breaking down this video. I'm going to start off with the actual initial body cam of the officer, and then we're going to go over the actual private video that was reported by the citizen William McNeil Jr. So, buckle up, guys, because this is going to be interesting. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's talk about this body cam. All right. Florida 2-4 Bravo, Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. The reason why I popped it over, I don't have a window in that work. I mean, is there a reason why yeah, absolutely there's a reason why I'm pulling over. For one, the inclement weather, you have the lights on. Two, you don't wear your seatbelt. So then, okay, I'm not arguing, you don't tell me why I'm pulling you over. Give me a driver's
And the
license.
officer came up with an attitude.
Excuse me?
And this man does have a right to ask the officer why was he pulled over.
Alright, let's dive right into it, you guys. A lot of people are not gonna like this.
Hold on.
Some people are saying this is a racial encounter. The officer was racist. Listen, let's deal with the facts. What are the facts? The facts are the officer initiated a traffic stop on his vehicle, and he said these were two violations. No headlights in inclement weather, that is a real thing in Florida. And two, no seatbelt.
He don't
How
even need the
obviously no
lights right
seatbelt. I
there.
do not know. That's pretty
And
obvious.
depending on the vehicle,
The suspect drove
depending
past
on the model of
him.
the
So
vehicle,
I don't know, right? He
if
has
he's
to
got the
be able to
daytime lights
explain that
on
and
it, he
justify this
don't need to cut
violation.
his lights
Now,
on.
what is the
Cause with the
reality about
daytime
this
lights, the lights gonna
inclement
be
weather
automatically
traffic
on.
violation? Well,
Let's talk
they
about it.
have to be able to articulate that this is an inclement weather situation where your lights are required. Okay? There's no strong definition of what inclement weather means. Just essentially,
Exactly.
your lights need to be on and operating anytime there's low visibility or if it's raining. Okay? In Florida, if your windshield wipers are going, your lights have to be on. Okay? One of the funny things about this is that when you see the officers respond on scene, they don't have their headlights on either, right? So now that's going to be hard to
Hypocrites.
explain that if you believe that
Okay,
there's
I'm
a
back
sudden
out.
danger and a hazard around as a citizen, okay, without their headlights on due to inclement weather, then you would also argue that the officers should be operating with their headlights on because they're not immune to some of these laws, okay, under certain circumstances and stipulations, okay, as it relates to them conducting their job. So the reality is this does not look like an inclement weather situation at all, to be honest, right? There's no issue with visibility. So that's going to be a problem. Now, the seatbelt violation is one thing, right? So here's the reality. The officer is there on the scene, you guys. I teach people this all the time. This is not the time for you to have trial on the side of the street. The officer said, here's why you're being stopped and being pulled over. You asked for confirmation. The officer told you, and then he said, give me your license. Now listen, clearly you know this officer is probably going to be an a-hole. I think it's very clear from the very onset of this, you can tell by the energy coming off This isn't a conversation about professionalism. Because at the end of the day, though the officer is going to probably more likely be unprofessional, he still has a legal reason to, one, justifiably pull you over. Number two, ask for your license in the state of Florida. When you're asked of your license by law enforcement, you have to give it to you guys. And the moment you don't, you are obstructing and impeding that investigation, and you can go to jail. These are the facts of the state of Florida. This is similar to a lot of other states here in Georgia with me as well, that there are things that you just cannot do, you guys. What's the other thing, all right? The officer asked, why you open the door like that? He said, well, my window doesn't work. Well, that's a legitimate explanation, all right? Now, as the officer is proceeding to get closer, he closes the door in front of the officer. Well, that within itself is not illegal. Up until the officer asks him to step out of the vehicle, you guys. If an officer asks you to get out the car, you have to get out the car. All right, that is a law. Okay, this has been already addressed by the Supreme Court. Okay, if an officer asks you to exit the vehicle, you have to exit the vehicle. Now, what's the other issue? The issue is the citizen is asking for a supervisor. Well, the officer should do what? Should call for a supervisor.
Yeah, call for a supervisor. Exactly.
Now, there's a lot of issues with the suspect going back into the car, closing the door, the windows are tinted, and things like that, and not cooperating. You naturally escalate this thing in a direction where it doesn't need to go. That's a fact. Okay. So what do we have here? We have a citizen who's not cooperating. Okay. He's not cooperating. That's the reality. You know your thoughts. You feel different, but he's not cooperating. And why do I say that? Because he asked for the license, he said no. Okay.
Now, we all know that this guy was not the easiest person to deal with. But what happened to him, unfortunately, is what happened to him. If anybody has saw this, we saw this guy being assaulted. And the fact that some of y'all people, and I'm gonna get to a particular one in a minute, cannot see that this man was assaulted and won't try to defend that assault, you can go screw yourself. Seriously. This man was assaulted, and the fact that y'all saying that the assault was okay, y'all can go screw yourselves. Okay? Seriously. Let's continue.
So we're already off. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. My camera's on too. I've already told you. Okay. Okay. Right now you're under arrest for resisting. You understand? You're under arrest for resisting. The longer you take us on, the worse it's going to be. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir.
Now, I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm going to pause this for a second. This man easily had two minutes to make a run for it. The fact that he did not make a run for it tells me he was trying to cooperate. Now, him, in my opinion, him closing the door or whatever, and asking for a supervisor, to me, seems like he was a little bit fearful of the police, and unfortunately, as a black person, you are gonna be fearful of the police due to what has happened to black people. in the hands of police. So with that being said, let's get back into it. And look at this cop. First thing he did was box this guy in.
I like how when the officer's car pulls up, just like everybody else, he doesn't have anything to catch himself, right? So again, that's going to be a problem in court. So far, so good, right? So far, so good. I don't see any issue. All right, again, we can talk about professionalism later, but the reality is the officer doing anything that's in violation? All right, so far, everything looks pretty decent. All right, so let's keep going.
Sir, this is your last warning to open the vehicle and exit before we're going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window.
And in my opinion, I think this officer wanted this to escalate. I don't care what nobody says. In my opinion, I think the officer wanted this to escalate, just judging by his body language. I'm just saying.
He's under arrest. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting.
And listen, the officer is really cool. He's really smooth right now. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do by the book. He's asking him repeatedly, multiple times, to exit the vehicle, and he's stating he's under arrest. Now, whether you agree with the officer or not, okay, that's one thing. Again, this is not the place to do the disagreement. All right, you ask for a supervisor, cool. He needs to request a supervisor. What is the reality of this situation? He asked him multiple times to exit the vehicle, and he told him he's under arrest. You guys, he gave him plenty of opportunity. The citizen is inside the car, and he's arguing. And now he's talking to a second officer, and that officer is also extending him grace and saying, hey, I hear what you're saying. I'll show you the law, but you got to step out the car. Okay? The citizen is refusing to step out. You guys, right now, to this point, he's in the wrong. He's in the wrong, whether you like it or not. The Supreme Court has already decided that if an officer asks you to exit your vehicle, you have to do it. That is a lawful command. He doesn't have to have a legitimate reason. Okay? It's not a violation of your rights. It's not infringing on your privacy, okay, or your safety. When an officer asks you to exit the vehicle, you have to do it.
And shout out to Real Nathan Daly for this, by the way.
All right. So what we're going to do is, now that we've seen this piece from the outside, we're going to transition to the inside of the vehicle. This is where McNeil was recording himself, talking to the second officer that's on his passenger side window. And this is where we're going to see the video that went viral. All right, so let's go ahead and transition. Now, McNeil is actually pleading his case to the second officer. All right, it's also blocking him.
Lights are off under this weather. I'm like, there's multiple people here. Like, oh, and then there's no rain. It doesn't matter. There's no recording of headlights on. Can you put it lower? Huh? Can you put it lower? Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will. Can you put it?
So he says, can you pull the law? So when you step out the car, I will. Listen, he never said he wouldn't. He said, you step out the car, I will. You have to obey these commands. Okay? It's not negotiable. All right? It's not negotiable. So now what happens?
Can you call the supervisor? Can you call the supervisor?
And look at him being aggressive.
God.
Instead of co-copped him. That dude that was looking for an excuse to be aggressive.
People have an issue with the glass being broken. You got no issue there. Why is there no issue with the glass being broken? Because they've already told him multiple times that he's under arrest. You got
See, my issue is not the glass being broken. My issue is the punch. And that's my issue. See, the glass can be replaced, but that punch is, in my opinion, is an automatic assault charge.
I've broken plenty of glasses. I've reached into car windows. Okay, that's what got me retired. Okay, reaching in the car window and getting dragged down the interstate. All right, so I've been here. I know what it's like. Okay, when you're about to place somebody under arrest, you're asking them to exit the vehicle. You're resisting, whether passive or active resistance. Okay, this is what you call passive resistance. It means I'm just not doing nothing. I'm just not going to obey any of the commands. So the officers already told him he's under arrest. A second officer comes to the scene and said, "Hey, listen, dude, you gotta cooperate." He's like, "Nah, I'm not bringing a supervisor." He's like, "All right, listen, go ahead, lock him up." What does he have to do? He can't open the door. Okay, you're not opening the door for him. He breaks the window, they're gonna open the door for you guys. Okay, so again, what's the issue here? The problem we have here. Where did the officer go wrong when he punched him in the face?
Exactly.
Obviously you can't do that. That is,
And the fact that Officer Tatum tried to defend the punch to the face is disgusting. And I'm going to get to you in a few minutes.
it's a crime. I don't know what the hell the sheriff was talking about. You cannot strike a citizen in the face.
Show hell can't.
Are angry.
There's an assault charge.
There's no aggression or an attack against the officer. He's not a threat to the officer, right? We can see clearly. He breaks the glass window, and then after he's done, out of anger and frustration, punches him in the face. Okay? It's clear as day. So let's get back to it. There's no justification in what the officer did. When I play this video back, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. What you're gonna notice is that after the glass is shattered, there's a pause. Okay? The officer makes another command, and then you see him strike McNeil in the face. What does that mean? You guys, that's premeditated. It's premeditated. Okay? It's one thing if you're breaking the glass.
And whether y'all that agree with Officer Tatum like it or not, Ben Crump has a case. Now, I have my feelings about Ben Crump. You know, that's here nor there. But Ben Crump has a legitimate case to sue on the grounds of assault. He does, whether y'all like it or not.
And as you're breaking through the glass, your hand hits his face. That's one continuous.
And for anyone that's watching, no, I am not a lawyer, but I know enough about the law where Ben Crump actually has a legitimate case. Let's get back into it.
Movement, and you can say, listen, that wasn't intentional. That wasn't an intentional strike. I'm trying to hammer through the glass, break it, and as I'm going through the glass, I hit him in the face. All right. Whereas the glass is shattered, I see McNeil unbothered. Okay. Now, guess what? I feel disrespected. And I'm emotionally unstable. This is an emotionally unstable officer. It's very
Talk
clear.
about it.
It's very clear. You can tell. And I'm going to tell you what up.
And emotionally unstable cops. Excuse me. Emotionally unstable cops are the reason my people are unalive unnecessarily every year by said cops. Let's get back into it.
Things happen that I pointed out that I noticed about this. Okay? After this whole thing was over, this officer is out of control. You can easily tell he has anger problems.
Yeah, you can tell by his body language.
And when he's acting, you see this rage unfold on McNeil. Even when he gets him out of the car, he strikes him again in the face. Okay? This is someone who's like, how dare you disrespect me? How dare you? Right? Like this officer has a superiority complex. And it's very clear to see. So here we are again. Now this time we're going to actually slow it down, and I want you to see the pause. The officer gives him the go-ahead to break the glass. Striking, striking. Now, after all of that, he finally shatters the glass. Now what you see here, you see a pause. He's looking at him, he's yelling at him, and out of frustration, he's like, man, how dare you not pay attention to me? He punches him in the face. You guys,
Yep.
it's very clear. It's very clear. But not only that, he strikes him again. All right? And so this is what's gonna hem the officer up. Again, he shows his hands.
Easy assault charge. Easy assault charge.
This is gonna be the problem with this lawsuit, that they're just not gonna be able to ignore. All right? I mean, we all see it, but I want to be clear when I explain to you what my assessment is, so people clear. Right? You see them trying to get him on the ground, and he's not fighting. What does he do? Out of anger, he punches him in the mouth.
Yep. Second assault charge.
Yeah, punches him in the mouth. You gotta snip. It's not appropriate. That is,
Like I said, easy assault charge.
use of force. Period. Justified. There's no way to articulate doing that. Why? They had his hands restrained. He wasn't striking or attacking the officer.
Sure wasn't.
Passive resistance. What does that mean? It means that you're just not fighting back. You're maybe resisting, but you're not attacking. Okay, you're not attacking the officer. You're not trying to hurt the officer. Therefore, the officers are only allowed to do but so much. You're talking joint manipulation. You're talking about maybe headlocks, trying to restrain the head, restrain the legs, and things of that nature. Pressure points. There are things that the officers can do outside of using strikes. That is not an appropriate time to use a strike. And so I know the sheriff got on a press conference and he was like, nah, everything the officer did was legal. I know there were some questionable statements in the police report saying that the officer did what he did because he saw a weapon in the car, something that really wasn't a reasonable weapon. The video clearly does not support that. So again, what do we have? We have an officer who struck him unlawfully. That's excessive. You know, this is where the officer went wrong. Now the citizen is wrong all day, and these are these unique cases. What I talk about all the time. There are cases where both parties are wrong, where the citizen
Exactly.
is wrong and the officer is wrong. And clearly the officer is wrong. And the citizen is wrong. You guys, the officer is wrong for excessive use of force. Alright? This is going to be an easy lawsuit for them and a justified lawsuit. So anyways, I'm going to do a reaction to the sheriff explaining and trying to, I don't know, sugarcoat this situation. I'll do that in another video. This video.
Okay, that's the end of that. Shout out to Real Nathan Daly for that. Now we're gonna go to TLA right now. Let's go TLA.
Shout out to brother Officer Tatum. Now, I hate to do this to him. I hate to make this video, but Officer Tatum is a bootlicking moron. Apparently.
Next, Tatum thinks that the officers used a proportionate amount of force for the situation because he's a bootlicking moron.
If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make a video about Brandon Tatum. That's it. Put your biases aside. Put your anti-police rhetoric aside.
Oh, I'm gonna drag you in a minute.
Before you decide to make a video calling me a bootlicker and all kind of other stuff, when you have no idea what you're talking about according to the law, you have no idea what you're talking about according to police interactions, you have no idea what you're talking about according to what you claim that I said and the position that you said I simply didn't take. Alright guys, we are heating up. We are talking today about two heavyweights going at it. We have the Officer Tatum, y'all know it, a huge Goliath in the space. He has over 3 million subscribers. A big dog.
Okay, big deal.
A YouTuber, a man named Lackluster. He
I'll be
also
right
has
back.
over 1 million subscribers. Lackluster has called Officer Tatum
responded back. What I'm going to do is review this video, and I'm going to look at one thing specifically. Now, I'll be honest with you, they talk about a lot of different issues, and if I try to cover them all, I'd be here all day. So I'm only going to cover one. Maybe in future videos, I'll pick up some more issues, and I'll decide who is right and wrong. Again, I am the lead attorney, practiced law down here in Atlanta over 20 years. I've handled countless criminal cases, so I've got a perspective on this. Now, Lackluster and Officer Tatum are arguing back and forth about numerous issues, but I'm only going to pick up one today. Today, we are only going to talk about the rain issue. Was the officer correct in pulling over the driver because he didn't have his headlights on?
Absolutely, there's a reason why I pulled it over. Why you can't pull it over if you don't have your lights on?
Now, it needs to be said that the officer had a couple of more reasons why he pulled the driver over, but we are just going to focus on the headlight issue and the rain issue. Was the driver required to have his headlights on because of the rain? Officer Tatum and Lackluster can't agree on this point, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of you can't agree either. I did a video on this recently, and I got so many comments about the dang rain. I mean, just look at what you guys are sending me 44 minutes ago. Am I the only one that sees raindrops all over the dude's car? 55 minutes ago, I see raindrops. If it wasn't raining, why are there raindrops? Dude, it was clearly raining. Come on, Lee, there were raindrops everywhere. It's rain, rain, rain. It's 100% rain. The beautiful Ricky says, Lee, I usually agree with you, but you can see the raindrops. You guys, I tell you, I got hundreds and hundreds of comments. There's literally rain on the car. Everybody's talking about this rain. So who is right, Lackluster or Officer Tatum, the bootlegger? By the end of this video, you will know decisively who is right and who is wrong in this debate. And it's very important for me to tell you that you're not going to know who's right or wrong just because I told you. You are going to know who's right and who's wrong because you critically thought for yourself. So here's what we're going to do. It is your first day in law school. You are sitting in my criminal law class. I am your professor, Professor Lee. Today we're going to talk about this case and whether the officer was allowed to pull the driver over because he didn't have his headlights on. Again, there are a lot of other issues that we can talk about, but I don't want to make this video too long. So, was the officer allowed to pull the driver over because the officer saw that he didn't have his headlights?
I'll be right back in a
That's the
second,
question
y'all.
I'm asking you. And you, it's your first day of law school. You said, well, I don't know. How am I supposed to figure it out? Well, I'll tell you, young student. If you have a question about the legality of something, the first place you go to is the law. You go to the state statute. All right, here is the state statute right here. The Florida Senate, the Florida statutes. When lighted lamps are required. All right, this is going to explain to us when you have to have your headlights on. If the officer saw that the driver did not have his headlights on when required, then the officer was correct in pulling him over for this violation. Let's read it. It says, every vehicle operating on a highway within the state shall display lighted lamps and illuminated devices as herein respectively required. Okay? Number one, at any time from sunset to sunrise. So basically at nighttime in the twilight hours. But here is where we get into the thick of things. You are required to have your headlights on during any rain, smoke, or fog. So if I ask you, young student of mine, when in Florida are you required to have your headlights on? Relevant to this specific case, the answer is during any rain, smoke, or fog. You got that? Rain, smoke, or fog. That's it. Now you guys may say, wow, being a lawyer is pretty easy. I know what rain means, I know what smoke means, and I know what fog means, right? Well, gotcha. The most important word when we analyze this particular situation is not rain, it's not smoke, and it's not fog. What's the most important word? It's during. You see here, guys, this during here, this is the operative word. This state statute, honestly, is very specific. It doesn't say before it's raining, it doesn't say after it's raining, it says during the rain. So what does that mean? It means that the officer has to initiate the traffic stop during the rain. The officer has to pull this driver
Supreme Court, all the way down to all the lower courts, have always said that the legislature means exactly what they said. If the legislature would have wanted to write this law to say, before the rain, then the legislature could have done that. If the legislature wanted to say 30 minutes after the rain or an hour after the rain, the legislature could have wrote that in the statute. The legislature did neither, however. The legislature said during. These state legislators are all adults, probably half of them are attorneys, so they know how to use their words well, and they all said during. What does during mean in this context? It means two events occurring simultaneously. The pulling over of the driver and the rain. We got that? We're on the same page? Now, we know how to analyze this case legally. Now, let's go to the facts of this case. Was it raining? Here we have the driver's car, and we can clearly see water droplets. Now, let me ask you, law students, thinking critically, if there are water droplets on a car, does it necessarily mean that it's raining? This is easy for you, even though it's your first day. Obviously, the answer is no. Water droplets can be on a car for numerous reasons. Water droplets could be on a car because it rained 15 minutes ago. Water can be on a car because the car got washed. Water can be on the car because the car rolled over a puddle and water splashed from the car.
Exactly.
So just because there are water droplets on the car does not mean that it's raining. What I'm going to do is play this video, but I'm going to mute it so we can focus on the water droplets. And what I want you to look at, young student,
I was in there talking about water droplets. Water droplets don't mean
that you
nothing.
see forming on the car as the video plays. Now, everybody take a close look. I'm going to play the video. Do you see any new water droplets? If you see new water droplets, then we can assume that that's rain. If we see no new water droplets, then what does that mean? All right, let's play the video. So here is the video. It's playing. Again, I've muted it because we don't need the sound to figure out whether it's raining or not. I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at the glass. I'm looking at the molding. I'm looking at the door. I see no new water droplets. You guys see any new water droplets? I don't see one. We're just letting it play here. I'm going to say that it's not raining, guys. Could it have rained previously? 100%. I do believe that it was raining 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes ago. But if I'm honest with you, I saw no new water droplets forming on that car. So, young student of mine, this is the question for you. All right, you ready? During the time that the body cam video was taken, was it raining? That's your question. Now, I do need to point out that it is technically possible for the officer to have pulled the driver over, and then 5, 10, 20 seconds when the officer gets up there, it stopped raining. So that it was raining when the officer pulled the driver over, but it's not raining 20 seconds into the video. That is a possibility, technically. But just going on the video as we see it, I believe it is not currently raining. What did we say about the law? We said, young law student, that every vehicle operated upon a highway, every driver is required to have their headlights on during any rain, smoke, or fog. So, was this driver required to have his headlights on? If the officer pulled the driver over during the rain, then yes. But if the officer pulled the driver over when it was not raining, then no. Now, when you get all these content creators, these YouTubers talking about this issue, and you don't know who's right, now you know how to think for yourself. Now you know how to legally analyze whether this driver was required to have his headlights on or not. Now, law student of mine, I'm going to give you a quick pop quiz. I am going to have you analyze some of the comments of the regular people, the people who are not in law school like you are. And I want to see if we can identify any issues with how these laymen are thinking about this case. Here's the first comment. It says the ground is wet and there are water particles on his windows. Just because it isn't currently raining doesn't negate the fact that inclement weather was and is still problematic. All right, law student of mine. Do you see a problem with this argument? Let's look at this one. TLA, we can see that there is water on the vehicle and that the skies are cloudy. So even if it wasn't raining in the video, it probably was raining before they started started rolling. Law student, future lawyer, do you see a problem with this comment? This is why I love the internet. This is why I love YouTube. You guys can learn to critically think in a legal manner, just as we attorneys do. No information, no knowledge is locked behind some gate. No one's gatekeeping now that we have the internet, and especially all these ChatGPT 4. Now, you guys know something that is regular layman do not. Alright, now let's see what Officer Tatum has to say about this. Let's see if we can spot any issues to his thinking, to his rationale, or is lackluster wrong. Let's take a look. You're gonna hear this guy talk about it. You see people say it online. It's the most asinine and ridiculous claim. It's because they hate police and they always want the police to be wrong, so they will make up anything. It wasn't raining. Look at this video. This is fresh rain droplets still hanging.
You can't prove that's fresh rain,
And
dude.
somehow it wasn't
You can't.
inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all. You wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. Let's stop it right there. Officer Tatum said if it wasn't inclement weather, you wouldn't see rain droplets still on his car. Now, guys, I got a question for you, and I'm going to see who are the A students and who are the B students, all right? There are two problems with what Brandon Tatum just said. He said that if it wasn't inclement weather, you still wouldn't see the rain droplets on the car. Can you identify the two problems with this statement? I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, and while you're considering that, it's very hard to get an A in law school, okay? All right, time's up. If you got this answer, then at least you have a B. What's the problem with what he said? Let's go back and take a look. Look at this video. This is fresh rain droplets still hanging onto his vehicle. If somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all, you wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. He said if it wasn't inclement weather, you wouldn't see raindrops on the car. What is the B answer? The B answer is, Officer Tatum, respectfully, you can see raindrops on a car when it's not raining. The rain
Exactly.
could have stopped 5 minutes ago, it could have stopped 15 minutes ago,
Exactly.
it could have stopped 30 minutes ago. Just because
But Tatum ain't smart enough to get
that
that.
does not mean that it's raining. If you got that answer, then I will give you a B. Alright, that's the layup answer. But do you see a second problem with what he said? Now let me just replay it because it's hard to catch. If somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all, you wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. Did you catch it? Guys, I will tell you that if you are an attorney, you have to pay such close attention to every single word. What did Officer Tatum say? He said if it wasn't inclement weather. What's the problem with that? The problem is inclement weather isn't a thing. It's nowhere in the statute. Guys, here is the complete statute that governs when your lights must be on, your headlights. Again, we see here during any rain, smoke, or fog. Do you see anything about inclement weather? As a lawyer, you have to pay attention to when people try to introduce new words, new meanings into an argument. Nowhere in here does it talk about inclement weather. In fact, if I go up here and just do a Control F, let's see. I am going to put the word inclement. I don't know if you can see this or not, guys, but I put the word inclement in here and it comes up 0/0. Nowhere in here does it talk about inclement weather. So when Officer Tatum says, hey, it's inclement weather, and you have to know as a law student that it's introducing new words that are not in the statute. The only thing we lawyers are concerned about is during any rain, smoke, or fog. That's it. I don't want to hear about inclement weather. I don't want to hear about low visibility. I don't want to hear about wet roads. The Florida legislature said during any rain, smoke, or fog. So pay attention to that. Did you get it? Did you get the inclement weather injection? If you got that, then you got an A on that pop quiz. And I really am impressed. If you got the B, then that's fine. But if you got an A, give yourself a pat on the back. Hold up. Let's pause for a second for a quick word from our sponsor, Chapter Medicare. If you or someone you love is on Medicare, this matters. The Department of Justice just revealed a huge fraud case against top Medicare brokers, accusing them of steering seniors to plans paying the highest kickbacks and not the plans best for them. I've seen firsthand how confusing and frustrating Medicare can be. When I face my own cancer diagnosis,
even with my decades of legal experience, navigating the healthcare system felt impossible. That's exactly why I'm partnering with Chapter Medicare. Chapter searches through every available Medicare plan to find the one truly tailored to your doctors, your prescriptions, and your budget. Completely unbiased and free. On average, seniors who worked with Chapter saved over $1,100 a year. So if you want straightforward, unbiased help, call Chapter right now at 572-243-0163 or visit ashchapter.org/lead. It's quick, it's free, and it could save you hundreds. The number's right here on the screen, 572-243-0163. Give yourself peace of mind today. All right, let's keep going.
If somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all, you wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. Inclement weather doesn't mean that it's only inclement in the instant that it's raining. And then if it stopped raining for 30 minutes or 30 seconds, then all of a sudden it's not inclement anymore.
Do you see a problem with Officer Tatum's thinking about this statute? He says that if the rain stops 30 seconds or 30 minutes from when the officer
That makes no
pulls over the
sense.
driver, then that doesn't mean that it's not inclement anymore. You, my little law student, do you see problems with this legal analysis?
What he's saying is making no sense.
Where in the heck did inclement even come from? It's not in the state statute. It's not in the law. And we already discussed what happens if the rain stops 30 seconds before the driver's pulled over, or certainly 30 minutes before the driver's pulled over. That's crazy. If the rain stops 30 minutes before the officer pulls over the driver, then the officer did not pull over the driver during the rain. It's not the rain stopped half an hour. I know that you guys are going to be able to analyze these facts legally, just like an attorney would. Let's go.
It's not just the rain. It's rain and rainy conditions.
Oh, are you catching it? Are you catching it? He said it's not just the rain, it's rain or rainy conditions. Lost to the mind.
He talking out both sides of his mouth. Not TLA, but Officer Tatum.
Operated in Florida on a highway must have its headlights on during any rain, smoke, or fog. Do you see anything about rainy conditions? Which is what Officer Tatum just said. Do you see anything about inclement weather? Do you see any grace period of 30 seconds or 30 minutes? You do not. You just see during any rain, smoke, or fog. All right, let's get back to our brother Officer Tatum. And hopefully you guys are analyzing this correctly. Hopefully you're getting A's on these quizzes.
The hazardous lights and with your lights on is for the conditions that's associated with rain. When it rains, visibility is lower, there's rain on the streets, people need to have better visibility when driving. That's what the spirit of the law says. That,
that's what the spirit of the law says. I will tell you, and again, none of this is taking shots at Officer Tatum. Excellent content creator. I'm sure he was an excellent officer. I am just looking at this from the lawyer's point of view because, again, this is a legal case. We are talking about state statutes. I will tell you as a lawyer that when anybody says the spirit of the law, you know you don't. When somebody has to retreat to the word spirit, it means that the arguments that they're making are not in the spirit.
It's not in facts.
When you are in court, when you're in trial, and you hear opposing counsel say, oh, well, that's the spirit of the law. That's what the legislature surely meant. I'm sure that if the legislature had more time, then they would have said, they would have clarified, they would have put in writing. Whenever you hear someone say it's the spirit of the law, you know you got it.
the hazardous lights and with your lights on is for the conditions that's associated with rain. When it rains, visibility is lower, there's rain on the streets, people need to have better visibility when driving. That's what the spirit of the law says, that the spirit of the law, let's go.
Spirit of the law. Can anybody tell me what that means? Spirit of the law. Somebody, anybody, tell me what it means.
Maybe it stopped raining for a small period of time.
Oh, that sounds like it.
Look at him, double talking. Double talking.
Sometimes as attorneys, guys, we never know if people are pulling our legs or not. As lawyers, we don't assume that they know the law. So it could be that Officer Tatum just doesn't know. But when he says, oh, well, it could be the rain stopped for a moment in time, that kind of gives
the rain stopped for a brief period of time, then what does that mean? It means that the traffic stop did not start during the rain. The focal point of this whole issue is the word during. What did I mean to
Facts.
say again? It's raining, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it stopped raining for a small period of time. That does not preclude the justification of having your lights on during inclement weather. All right, guys, as your law professor, not going to be a dead horse, but I'm going to replay that last sentence one more time, and I want you to analyze it. It is raining, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it stopped raining for a small period of time. That does not preclude the justification of having your lights on during inclement weather. Inclement weather. All right. If you're my law student, hopefully you see the issue with that. Shout out to Officer Tatum. Shout out to Lackluster. They're both going at it. If you guys like this video, just let me know, and I will break down each of the issues so that you can understand how to analyze these things. You don't have to believe Officer Tatum. You don't have to believe Lackluster. You can think of it for yourself, and then you won't be leaving me comments like this. These are laymen here, great people, great subscribers of mine commenting. Do you see any problems with what they're saying? It was raining. When it was. This wasn't enduring. The car is wet. So I see a problem with that. It's raining. Look at the car glass. Lee, is this car wet? Water on the vehicle. Was it or is raining? It's rain on the window. If it's raining, should have the lights on. Now this is true. If it's raining, shout out to the HKW. If it's raining, the lights should be on. The ground is wet, water particles on your vehicles. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll end it there. Just let me know in the comments if you want me to break it.
Shout out to TLA for that. Now we're gonna go to Officer Tatum. I have two clips, and this here first clip is gonna be Officer Tatum trying to quote unquote drag the press conference. Let's get into it.
That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over. What? Oh, what are you talking about, man? Is there a reason that you pulled me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
I don't need the lights. It's not raining. It's not raining.
This is inclement.
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof.
Driving unsuspended driver's license is wrong. Disobeying a lawful command is wrong. Your son got arrested, was found guilty. What are we even talking about at this point? It's a money grab.
How's okay?
Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notification anytime I go live and make a video. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get it, that is. And also, make sure you go to Tatum Store to get all the cool merch. And also go to Synergy Life.
Blah blah blah. Whatever, Tatum.
Synergy Life. I do not sleep without Synergy nighttime drink. And when I want sustainable energy throughout the day without crashing all that little crazy stuff, and something that tastes really good and natural, I take my Synergy Day. Get you some at SynergyLife.com. I had to just throw that out there. But anyway, what is going on in the world? Again, I find myself still talking about this guy that got slapped in the face in the car on a traffic stop. I want to let it go, but I can't let it go. People are making videos about me, and I have to say that.
And we have that right to make videos about you. Because you're trying to be an Uncle Ruckus.
But some lawyers, just because you have the title lawyer, don't mean you're a good lawyer. Don't mean you're a reasonable lawyer. And don't mean you know what you're talking about. Same thing with police officers. Just because you're a cop, or just because you was a cop, don't always automatically mean you know what you're talking about. You have to point things out fair and impartial. And therefore people will respect and support what you're saying. And this attorney that made a video about me is wrong. In the comment section, I exposed that he's wrong. And then I have another attorney that, in my opinion, is practicing law like he's supposed to. He is correct. And go watch this video. Watch the guy that lied, or who I think is deceived, and then watch the guy who told the truth. Make up your mind. But let's talk about this video that has gone out. And now Neil Jr., who's hired the most corrupt attorney, in my opinion, who's an ambulance chaser.
We don't care about your opinion right now. We care about facts.
Civil rights claims just to get people paid out. I wonder, will ever disclose how much money he make on these civil rights claims. And he only do it with black people.
And I'm gonna be honest. I have my own feelings about Benjamin Crump, but from what I saw with the William McNeil Jr., Benjamin Crump has a legitimate case of assault on this man. And the fact that Tatum does not want to acknowledge that tells me either he's being willfully ignorant, excuse me, or he just doesn't give a damn. Let's go.
And not one person that he support or promotes was following the law. 99% of all the people that Benjamin Crump has supported, the officer has always been acquitted. Almost every case that the officer has been acquitted. All he's doing is getting money. He's not getting justice because he knows that the person who he's representing was a complete fraud and did everything he wasn't supposed to do. But he want to get the civil rights claim to make money. Okay, let's watch this press conference together. And who in their right mind think that the press conference or the statements in the press conference from McNeil Jr. and his dad, or even Benjamin Crump, make any sense whatsoever? Comment in the comment section. These people are living in another world. Run the clip.
That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over. And
Which he has a right. If you're getting pulled over, you have the right to ask to say, "Officer, why are you pulling me over?"
I was really just scared.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean you just wanted to know why you were pulled over? He told you why you were pulled over. He told you. You just didn't want to accept it. All right, look, let's keep watching.
To see that video made me go back to the moment when I was 22. It hurt. It made me upset. But I seen what my son did that I had to do. And he shot right. And he did right.
Now, I gotta stop this for a second. Your son did some things right and some things wrong. The issue I have with Tatum here is that he's trying to diminish the fact that this guy was assaulted by a police officer. This guy was assaulted by a police officer, and I'm going to keep saying that, even though Tatum is too much of a coward to not acknowledge that. William McNeil Jr. was indeed an assault victim. That is it. That is all. That is the fact. Tatum does not want to acknowledge that fact. But I'm going to make him acknowledge that fact today.
I see that. It's a hurting feeling to be a father that loved God first and to see all my kids not being able to wake up in the morning and get a phone call saying your child is gone. That's a hurting feeling, but I thank God. Yes. Because God got it.
Look at this.
Hold on, y'all.
Just God got it.
I don't like when people put God in it. Like, how do you say I believe in God and my son did what's right? No, your son didn't. God would never accept the fact that your son was being belligerent with authority. The man
How was he belligerent? He was not belligerent, you goofy lying SOB.
That's the legal process. God would be expecting your son to abide by the law. And then the funny thing is, he doing all this fake crying and my son, he did the right thing. Your son is driving on a suspended driver's license.
I'm not saying that's right.
With a big old knife on the floorboard.
First off, the weed that you talking about, you see my thumb? That's how much weed it was, Tatum. But you want to harp on the weed, want to harp on the license, and want to harp on the knife in the floor. And if you look correctly, where the knife was in the floorboard, he couldn't even reach it down in time to even use on the cop. What is you talking about? And the weed is a misdemeanor. This is you trying to harp on stuff to demonize this man. Shame on you.
Big old knife on the floorboard. In a simple point of the cop saying, this is why I pulled you over. No, go get a supervisor. No, they ain't they ain't even locked. Shut the door and slammed it. And if my son ever did.
That is not what he said. He did not say I don't want to believe that. He said call your supervisor, and then he closed his door. Now, do I agree with him closing the door and whatever? Not necessarily. Now, do I believe that maybe he was fearful or something like that? Yes, but here's the thing: Tatum ain't gonna care if the guy was fearful or not. Let's get back into this.
No, go get a supervisor. No, they ain't even locked. Shut the door and slammed it. And if my son ever
He did not slam the door.
You ain't never gonna catch me on TV defending him. I don't care if the cop punch him in the face or not. You ain't never gonna catch me defending that. Now, if I think the cop is wrong, I will address that. But I also address the fact that my son was wrong. Driving on suspicion.
Okay, if you say that you can address the police officer being wrong, why did you not address the fact that the cop that hit him in the face twice was wrong? Why did you, as the upstanding man that you claim to be, Officer Tim, why did you not acknowledge the fact that officer was wrong? I'll wait.
The driver's license is wrong. Disobeying a lawful command is wrong. Your son got arrested, was found guilty. What are we even talking about at this point? It's a money grab. Let's see what Benjamin Crump got to say. I want you to try to.
How is a legitimate case for assault a money grab, sir? Answer my question. How is a man having a legitimate case for assault a money grab? I'll wait. I'll be back in a second, y'all.
Put yourself in our shoes. Try to put yourself in William's shoes just for a second. The police stop you and tell you, you say, why are you stopping me? And they say, well, you don't have your headlights on and it's raining. And you look and you're like, there's no rain. And why are you stopping me? And all he does, why it says Rosa Parks 21st century moment, he as a black person says, you know, I'm tired of it. I'm going to try to demand my constitutional rights. That's the only thing that William McNeil did. And that's the only thing you would want your children to do. To say, as a citizen, don't I have the right to know why you're violating my Fourth Amendment rights against search and seizure unlawfully? That's it. Nothing more. So search your hearts, America. If this was your child, wouldn't you be proud that William kept his calmness and his demeanor and de-escalated it? And let that govern you when you call on the sheriff to hold these police officers accountable. Because that's what we have to get here. We have to have accountability. This is why black people ain't never gonna make it as a whole. Can I just keep it real?
Shut up, Tatum.
What makes sense? Like I don't get it. He was just standing up. A Rosa Parks moment. A Rosa Parks moment. A Rosa Parks moment.
This right here is a gold play button from YouTube. You get this when you get 1 million subscribers. This is a silver play button that you get when you get 100,000 subscribers. Now, what if I were to tell you that this channel that got this play button right here makes about 100 times more money than this channel right here. Subscribers are vanity metrics. They don't matter. What matters is how much you make from your channel, and the way you make from your channel is to monetize before getting monetized. That might sound crazy, but
Parks moment, a Rosa Parks moment. And he did everything he's supposed to do. He just wanted a legal search and seizure. There is no illegal search and seizure on a civil traffic stop. He wasn't going to search the man's car. He wasn't going to arrest McNeil Jr. He wasn't going to do any of that. He just stopped him on a civil traffic stop and said, I'm pulling you over because you had your lights off in inclement weather. The cop didn't say whether it was raining or not. He said in inclement weather, which according to the law, the officer has a right to pull you over in those conditions. Inclement weather doesn't mean that it has to be currently raining at the precise moment that the cop turns his lights on to pull you over. It's that you're driving in rainy conditions. That means that the road is rain. There's been rain on the road. It's overcast. There clearly had been rain. So therefore, the inclement weather argument is very clear. And then I think that, in good faith, the officer made a traffic stop. If you didn't agree with it in the court of law, you could have contested it. But we all know, if you have paid attention to anything that's going on, that he was found responsible for this. They did not throw out the case because if the judge deemed that it was unlawful for them to make a traffic stop, they would have thrown the case out, but they didn't. It was upheld. He was found guilty. The justice that was imposed on him, he took it like a man at first, and then now he's releasing the video. It just makes me mad because black people in this situation do not feel like they have to be held accountable to do anything. The cop punched you in the face. You have created a scenario where a cop can use a reasonable amount of force to execute an arrest. And if it's deemed later that the force was unnecessary, then you can talk about it. But none of what you did was necessary. None of what he did was necessary. He did not have to disobey the traffic law. He did not have to argue with the cop on the side of the road when he never have read the statute in the first place. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are watching the video, and I said this from the beginning because I think I'm the only person that's genuine about this by a long shot, is that I said there's a lot of the video footage that's missing from here. What do you know? Like the first 5 or 6 minutes, the guy intentionally edited out of his own video. He edited out of his own video. And you can see that because if you follow the body camera in his video, you can see normally when people start the video, you see them push and they back off the screen and they start doing it. You're like, okay, that person just pushed the button to start the video. But when you look at this, you see the cop say, I'm recording too. And then from the time you say, I'm recording too, to when he starts talking to the officer in the passenger seat, he's screaming, he's yelling, he's throwing a fit. The cop is telling him, get out the car 7 times. And he intentionally deleted or edited out all of the incriminating parts of his actions just to show him talking to this officer before they knocked the window out. That's why you can't trust Benjamin Crump or none of these people. I would be open-minded to listen to these people if he hadn't edited the video, which he clearly did, because he edited out everything that was incriminating. And then he waits 6 months later to even make an issue out of it. And then who does he hire? Benjamin Crump, who's the ambulance chaser himself. And Benjamin Crump don't get on here and say nothing reasonable. He say, he as a citizen wanted to make sure his Fourth Amendment right, search and seizure wasn't violated. It's like you driving on the traffic way, you get pulled up. Think about this for a minute. This is my last point here, and I think this is like the easiest point that ever been made. When you're driving on the roadway and an officer pulls you over, where is in the legal system are you to contest the traffic stop? Let's put this in perspective. Where do you contest the traffic stop? In the legal system that we all adhere to, where would you contest a traffic stop? If an officer pulls you over and they had no justification to pull you over, where do you contest it? On the side of the road or when you go to court? Now let's just play the scenario out.
You're doing semantics.
Where does that get you? If you get pulled over by a police officer and you think it's wrong on the side of the road and you tell the officer it's wrong and he says right, where are you going with that? Is he gonna somehow pull you over? Is that what's gonna happen? No, it's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna just get into a conflict with an officer, and then when you start resisting arrest, you're gonna go to jail. Why is it so hard? A lawyer knows that. Benjamin Crump knows that. They all know that. You don't contest a traffic stop on the side of the road. especially if you don't know the law. And even if the officer is wrong for pulling you over, you
So you tell me he doesn't have the right to ask why he's being pulled over. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Alright, let's keep going.
still can't contest it on the side of the road. If you're driving down the road and the officer say you ran a red light and you did not run a red light, you can let him know that you disagree, but you're not finna litigate on the side of the road. It's not like they're gonna bring a judge out and you're gonna be able to present your case and the preponderance of evidence to a judge that more than likely you didn't run the light. That's not the way the system works, and it's not going to get you to work, and it never has. If you have an issue, let the officer give you a ticket, take it to the court, and you'll be able to argue your point in a court of law. And if you believe you have evidence that it did not happen the way that the officer said it happened, you have your cell phone, you have his body-worn camera as evidence, and you also have his statement and your statement. When you get pulled over, you take pictures of the scene.
And this here is a black. Here's the issue I had with some black cops. Some black cops forget that they're a black man first before being a cop. And this guy here is one of those guys. Just saying.
You take pictures of the environment that you're in. You take pictures of the stoplight. You go take pictures from the corner of the stoplight so you can see the light rotation, and you present all of those things in court. And then, if you think that it was unjust and he violates your constitutional rights, then you can sue the police department. But these people just want quick money. They don't want to do what's right. They don't want to follow the law. They think they're above the law. And the crazy thing is that most of the time, you only see black people doing this. Why is it that we don't see video after video after video after video of white people doing this?
White, there is white people doing it, you goofy jackass.
It's entitlement, it's culture. And when black people do stuff wrong, they got a plethora of people defending them when they do wrong. And when black people do right, nobody cares. They don't defend them. They don't support them. A lawyer won't represent them pro bono. But when they do wrong, Benjamin Crump will support any black person that done something wrong as long as there's money that could be made. Tell me I'm wrong in the comment section. I'll see y'all in the next one.
Okay, let's keep going.
Guys, want to be instantly more attractive? Do this and you'll catch our attention in the best way. Here.
Positions that you said I took and didn't take. Listen, y'all, the system isn't broken, it's rigged. And if you're buried in debt, that's exactly how they want it to be. Big banks profit when you are desperate. Creditors win when you lose. But you don't have to play the game anymore. PDS Debt helps you take back control. They understand your specific situation and offer alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. Whether it's credit card debt or high-interest loans, they'll create sent me a video last night that said, hey, man, this guy is talking real crazy about you, man. It's crazy. He's saying all these negative things about you. And I said, let me check out the video. And this is regarding the police incident that occurred in February, that we just not hearing of it because the guy is a grifter and he want to make money off of police interaction and not because he really cared that he was done wrong by police, in my opinion. So I'd never heard of this guy before. I don't even know the name of his social media thing. It's Lackluster, I think is what it's called, which is pretty ironic because I'm getting ready to debunk this gentleman every step of the way on this video. This is the easiest debunking that I'm ever gonna do probably in my life. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make a video about Brandon Taylor. That's it. Put your
I'm making a video about you now. What?
Police rhetoric aside, do some research before you decide to make a video calling me a bootlicker and all kind of other stuff when you have no idea what you're talking about according to the law. You have no idea what you're
Look, he may have called you a bootlicker. Only thing I'm doing is just presenting evidence on whether or not if you're a bootlicker, and I'm gonna let the people judge.
Talk about according to police interactions. You have no idea what you're talking about according to what you claimed that I said and the positions that you said I took and didn't take. Ladies and gentlemen, get this guy on the show. I'm finna debunk him every step of the way. Roll the clip.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's video is a response to the one I made yesterday. I released that video with the information that I had at the time, and since that video,
The sheriff has released the body cam footage and has made a statement. Apparently, there's a police report out as well.
The cell phone camera footage that began viral circulation over the weekend does not comprehensively capture the circumstances surrounding this incident. Tonight, I'm sharing the footage from the body-worn cameras of the arresting officer, Officer D. Bowers, and two of the assisting officers, Officer D. Miller and Officer G. Curse.
We'll include some of that and review some of what Officer Brendan Tatum says on his Substack. Most of you know who he is and know that he can make some ridiculous claims. And in this case, it is no different. First, he claims that the full body cam has been released, and while most of the relevant footage has been posted, we have only been granted the opportunity to view the incident from a few angles that the sheriff's office decided to show.
The currently available information and play the relevant body-worn camera.
Second,
Current relevant body-worn camera. That doesn't mean that they pick and choose and show you this angle and cut this angle.
Yeah,
It's
they do.
relevant, meaning the body-worn camera that's released that
Lies. There is proof that police departments will show you an edited version of a body cam. So what Brendan Tatum just said right there is an outright lie.
shows the incident at hand. That means that if you were involved in this incident, the body-worn camera was shown. If you had no involvement in this incident.
How do we know that the body cams that the police showed were not edited in any way, shape, or form? We can assume that they weren't edited, but we definitively do not know that.
And there's no need to show the body-worn camera during a press conference. The first lie he made, Roland.
Tatum puts in bold lettering that JSO was justified in the force used against McNeil. He follows this statement by claiming that only the palm strike was being reviewed to determine whether it was in policy, and fails to mention the several other punches inflicted to McNeil despite agreeing to exit the vehicle.
Step out now. All right.
And placing his hands behind his back. Within his defense of complete dog shit, he claims that nothing was criminal in the officer's actions. And sure.
Now, right there, I 100% agree with Lackluster on that. To get forcibly take him to the ground, handcuff him, I agree with that. But punching the man, there was no need for punching this man. Now, the fact that Officer Tatum wants to defend that is garbage. It's garbage and it's dog shit. That Tatum wants to defend an assault. I have no respect for you, sir. The fact that you're trying to defend this man being assaulted. Now, was this man cooperative? Not 100%. I agree with you on that one. But for you to try and defend an assault is garbage. Let's get back into this.
The DA hasn't filed criminal charges.
Stop right there. The DA, the state district attorney's office, deemed, according to the chief, that there was no criminal action conducted by the law enforcement officers on scene, who watched the amateur video from the suspect and also watched the body-worn camera footage and all relevant footage that's made available. And they decided that there was no criminal activity. They decided there was no criminality. Not Brendan Tatum. The state prosecutor said that it was no criminality. Now, when you can't, now if the state prosecutor said that there was criminality and the officers were wrong, Buddy over here would have said accepted it. But guess what he says about the prosecutor now that the prosecutor don't agree with him? Roll the clip.
The government to protect itself.
Oh, it protects itself.
Is often referred to as the county's top cop. No charges does not mean no criminal activity. Tatum correctly states that the law gives officers discretion to use reasonable force during arrests, but incorrectly adds that that's what we saw in the video. So,
how is what I'm saying incorrect when the state prosecutor agrees with what I'm saying, and also the police chief agrees with what I'm saying, that there's no criminality afoot? He mentioned that he will continue the investigation of whether or not it was in department policy, which I wrote in my op-ed that he's referring to. But Of course, he don't want to show that part because he's trying to make his own point, which is ridiculous. Roll it. If you're worried about testing CTV ads for your business, listen up. With Roku's new self-service ad tool, it's easy to set up your own CTV campaigns, so you can tap into Roku's leading scale and expand your marketing base. Roku is the #1 TV streaming platform in the US by hour stream. Go ahead, check out the Roku Ads Manager for yourself.
This is a simple checklist that any student can use to get into an Ivy League school. And we've used this exact checklist for 18 years to get thousands of students into the top 10 universities, including the Ivy Leagues. Here are 3 reasons why your child will almost...
But, of course, he don't want to show that part because he's trying to make his own point, which is ridiculous. Roll it.
Before we watch the videos, let's discuss what reasonable force is and when officers are lawfully allowed to use it. We can start with the first body cam of the deputy that initiated the stop and compare it to Tatum's assertions. He claims that McNeil's headlights were not on and that he was not wearing a seatbelt. But the suspended license and having marijuana are facts that were only revealed as a result of an unlawful traffic stop conducted by JSO. The probable cause...
None of that is relevant. What I articulated in my op-ed is all of the circumstances surrounding his detention, arrest, and his resistance. So I don't have to separate the two when I'm talking about the totality of circumstances. All of those things he was found guilty of in the court of law. And then also, it does matter if a person is driving a suspended driver's license and they do have drugs on that person. Because what? It explains why he was resisting arrest and acting a fool. It's not because he didn't understand the law. It was because he didn't want to go to jail. Therefore, you can paint the whole picture in the totality of circumstances, Roll it.
As stated by the deputy, was that his headlights weren't on. But again, the law states, during any rain, smoke, or fog.
Time out. Inclement weather, rain, smoke, fog. It also talks about sunrise, sunset. There's reasons that you have to have your lights illuminated. He did not have his lights on. He did not deny that his lights were not on. He did not skirt these charges when he went to court. Now, they decided to keep him on the bigger charges and dismiss the other ones because the other ones were criminal. So you don't try to charge him with both. But he still was found responsible. He did deny responsibility. No one has said that the officers were wrong on the initial traffic stop. Why? Because I'm going to prove to you that this is inclement weather and it was raining. All right, Nick, let's...
Key word was idiot.
Get the exhibit ready because you're going to hear this guy talk about it. You see people say it online. It's the most asinine and ridiculous claim. It's because they hate police and they always want the police to be wrong, so they will make up anything. It wasn't raining. Look at this video. This is fresh.
It was not raining at the present time, but it was rain. It was raining. I get that. But if he has a vehicle that's at least 2012 and up, most of those vehicles have daytime running lights, which means the lights are automatically on anyway. So for this cop to pull him over for headlights was just a waste of time. But of course they're going to get him for the weed, so they have a legit excuse for the reason why they pulled him over. Just saying.
They will make up anything. It wasn't raining. Look at this video. This is fresh rain droplets still hanging.
Can you prove that the rain was fresh? Can you prove that, Brandon Tatum? Yes or no?
Onto his vehicle. If somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all, you wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. Inclement weather doesn't mean that it's only inclement at the instant that it's raining. And then if it stopped raining for 30 minutes or 30 seconds, then all of a sudden it's not inclement anymore. It's not just the rain. It's rain and rainy conditions. And that's what the hazardous lights and putting your lights on is for the conditions that's associated with rain. When it rains, Visibility is lower. There's rain on the streets. People need to have better visibility when driving. That's what the spirit of the law says. That's why no one contested that he was pulled over rightfully. You would not have rain droplets on your car if it had not been raining. The ground is wet. It is raining, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it stopped raining for a small period of time. That does not preclude the justification of having your lights on during inclement weather. All right, let's go back to the video.
Of which were present. And as to the claims of not wearing a seatbelt, the officer transmits over the radio that he didn't have any details about the occupant or occupants of the vehicle.
Hold on.
Prior to
having any details about the occupant or occupant's vehicle has nothing to do with visible observation of a seatbelt in a traffic light, or not having your lights on. Not having I guess information about the people in the car means that I didn't get his driver's license. I didn't talk to him. I'm not sure if there's other people in the car. It's not that I didn't see him driving with no headlights on and no seatbelt before I pulled him over. Just for reference, he got pulled over. This is the result of him getting pulled over. This is where he stopped. The cop observed his lights not being on and observed him not having a seatbelt on, so he conducted a traffic stop. He pulled here and stopped. What are we saying? The cop is pulling him over because of his observations of the no seatbelt, in which the suspect never denied. Roll the clip.
McNeil opening his door.
Yeah, Florida 2-4 Bravo, Echo Charlie Whiskey, Silver Kia, I don't like this.
These two facts eliminate all probable cause for the entire stop, which means everything that occurs after this moment was unlawful.
Hold on.
And all
Hold on.
and all
It's a lie. I just disproved that. I just proved inclement weather, which the court agrees with me on, and everybody with a brainstem does. And then I just proved that the seatbelt violation. The officer observed seatbelt violation. He was charged with all these things, and he did not deny any of these claims. He only denied that, well, it's not raining. That's not the totality of the inclement weather statute. But when he said you didn't have a seatbelt on, he didn't deny the seatbelt violation not one time. And then there's people that's going to say, well, they pulled the seatbelt off of him when he got out of the car. Yeah, because when he shut the door and was getting crazy and pulling his camera up, he put his seatbelt on. That's what he did. So he could say, look, I had my seatbelt on, but you didn't have your seatbelt on when you got pulled over. Roll the clip.
only occurred because the deputies on scene were untrained as to their profession. But even worse still is that the responding officer was not wearing a seatbelt, and several of the other backup units also failed to use their headlights. It's a good thing that
Time out. You can't make this up. The responding officer wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Well, police officers, anybody that know anything about policing, when you pull up to a traffic stop, many cops, when they hit the lights or whatever, they take their seatbelt off. Police officers are exempt from traffic violation laws in certain circumstances.
Which is
Why
bullshit.
will the officer pull his seatbelt off while he's conducting a traffic stop? Because if suspect number one takes off running, you can get out of the car and react. If suspect number one pulls a gun on you, you can maneuver and react. Cops do not have to wear a seatbelt when conducting a traffic stop if they believe or deem that it is reasonable to take the seatbelt off for all these various reasons that I mentioned. And then when we talk about headlights, the lights and sirens control the lights of the vehicle. They control the lights of the vehicle. So when you turn your lights on, it takes over headlights, upper lights, and all kinds of lights. Also, officers are not obligated, depending on the circumstances, to follow traffic laws. They have to drive with due regard, and they have all of these exemptions that you can find right in the law. You can look it up yourself, or you want me to give you the chapter and verse, I can. But officers are not obligated to abide by all the traffic laws, especially when they're responding code 3, responding to an incident. That's why you can see a police officer sitting on the side of the road with no lights on. That's why a police officer can respond to the scene and go past the speed limit. If the officers had to abide by every traffic law, then they'll be in trouble right now because they were speeding to get to this thing. If a person decides to drive off from a police officer, they can't pursue because then they'll be breaking the law of going over the speed limit. There's exemptions from officers in the law depending on the circumstances, and these circumstances don't necessitate police officers to follow every traffic law. Roll the clip.
It wasn't unlawful to do so, but let's pretend that it was. And by refusing to identify here, McNeil was breaking the law.
Yes, sir. Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. It's not raining. It's daylight. I don't need the lights, and it's not raining. That's not. He's wrong, right? Daylight is not the parameters here. And then you can see rain droplets on his car. So while he was driving, it is raining. So none of that's a moot point. Roll it. It's not raining.
This is inclement.
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
Call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
Sorry, 35. I'm properly driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle.
Specifically, this would be resisting, obstructing, and delay in Florida, as they do not have a refusal to ID law. Next, Tatum thinks that the officers used a proportionate amount of force for the situation, because he's a bootlicking moron.
The law requires that a person comply with the police officer's commands during a traffic stop.
To understand why, let's look at the law that Tatum fails to explain in his obvious GPT article. Reasonable force is determined by two cases, Graham v. Connor and Tennessee v. Garner. Together, they've created use of force guidelines for law enforcement.
Okay.
First, the court must judge the officers based on the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness test. This requires officers to base their use of force on the totality of the facts and circumstances. Here, the entire case for the deputies fails immediately due to the insufficient probable cause.
The state attorney's office deemed that they followed the law and there was nothing criminal in their use of force. Where is this guy getting his theology from? This is not something that hasn't been litigated yet. This is not a brand new occurrence. This happened in February. He brought his complaint like a couple days ago or whatever when he released this video. This was investigated internally, investigated from the state's attorney's office, and they deemed that there is nothing there. Now you can say Graham versus Connor and the use of force case law, but none of that applies here clearly because they were all deemed to be acting according to the law within reason.
Ultra Fire cervical care pillow. Even orthopedic doctors are using it. Orthopedic.
All deemed to be acting.
So you tell me that that committing an assault is lawful? Is that what you're telling me? Let's keep going.
According to the law, within reason. Roll the clip.
Echo Charlie Whiskey,
But if the vehicle extraction was lawful, the amount of force used must take into consideration the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat, and whether they were actively resisting or attempting to flee. By now, you may have heard that McNeil had a knife, but who the fuck doesn't? It was never in his hand, and upon review of the video, he never even reached for it, despite
This is the thing that people don't think about with him. He has a big serrated knife that's probably 12 inches long on his floorboard. Who rides around with a knife like this? It's not reasonable to have a knife like this. People in the comment section or anybody watching this, how many of y'all drive around with a hunting knife this big laying on your floorboard? Nobody carries a knife like this. Does that mean he can't? But that also speaks to his character and speaks to the danger that was present when they were conducting the traffic stop. Who knows?
It sounds to me that as a cop, you were one of these cops that operated in fear.
He probably wanted to pick it up and stab the officers, but he didn't have the courage to do it. You don't know. But this is a dangerous, deadly weapon that he has right under on the floorboard. And if you watch what he's doing, he's not cooperating for a large majority.
If this guy wanted to use that knife He had plenty of time to use that knife, Officer Tatum. Stop the cat. He did not want to use that knife. He was not trying to use that knife. He was trying to go the path of least resistance. That is it. That is all.
Majority of the video that he did not play. All the times when he shut the door and the cop was like, "You're on the get out the car, get out the car." Who knows? He could have pulled that knife from somewhere else. You can't see what he's doing in the car. That knife could have not even been there. The knife could have been in the back seat. The knife could have been on the passenger seat, and he pulled it over there and put it on his foot. Like, these things do matter in the totality of circumstances. That's how irrational this guy was in the present danger that the officers were in. Just say that this is a deadly weapon. Just say it was a gun. It's the same premise. Well, he wasn't reaching for the gun, but he got a gun right there that he can pick up and use against the cops. He got a knife he can use against the cops. These things do matter in the totality of circumstance when you're evaluating the circumstance, Roland.
Officers lies on the police report, but we'll return to that point in a minute. McNeil was at best passively resisting an unlawful arrest and never attempted to flee. And the severity of the crime was so incredibly low that...
And here's the stuff that Tam ain't pointing out. He easily could flee, but he didn't. He easily could use the knife and come at a cop, which he did not. Tatum's not telling you this. I'm telling you this. And the reason why Tatum is not telling you this, because Tatum is seeing this one way and one way only. He is too close-minded to see the full picture.
Nearly every officer that responded to the scene was in active violation of the same law McNeil was originally pulled over for. No headlights, no headlights, no headlights. Not to mention that one...
That doesn't matter. I already said it is except. But when it comes to saying that a person is passive aggressive, this guy, the thing that reasonable people in the courts look at is, what is the officer's observation of what's happening? Right. If a person is just sitting there like this, that does not mean that they're not a threat. The threat level is that the person is non-compliant for the last X amount of time. When they knock the window out, if the officer wanted...
In a world where you've constantly been told what you can't do, who will you choose to be when presented with something different? Ask your healthcare provider what could be.
When they knocked the window out...
Yes, they did knock the window out. But was the punch to the face warranted? No, Brandon Tatum, it was not.
If the officer wanted to stun him while they're trying to open the door, that's nothing wrong with that. You can stun the guy to get him.
So you tell me it's okay for a police officer to commit assault for no reason? Is that what you tell me, Brandon Tatum?
Disoriented, get him out back so you can unlock the door and take care of business without you just being sitting there jangling the door. Hold on, man. You good? Okay. You got a knife or gun in there? You grab it while I'm doing this right here. If an officer believes that, hey, let me stun him real quick, get his, whatever you call it in law.
Again, Tatum, there was no reason for this man to be hit. Now, if he was violent, then it would be different. And the fact that you're trying to okay or dismiss the assault that happened is shameful. Shame on you, sir.
For to get his OODA loop off, so he's kind of dazed. I'm gonna do the door, and we're gonna get this thing done. We're gonna pull him out of the car. The officer can deem that that's necessary to execute an arrest.
when you never done this before and you don't know the heightened suspicion and things that go on like this, you would be like, oh, you just did it for no reason. Well, the courts evaluated it and they didn't agree with you. Well, not the court, at least the prosecutor's office, they didn't agree with you. Roll the clip.
Once the door was opened and he was ordered out of the vehicle, McNeil responded with, all right.
Step out now. They said, first of all, he's resisting. They told him to get out 7 or 8 times already. He said, he not.
Believe it or not, I actually agree with Tatum here that the guy here is resisting. But the problem I have with Tatum is that he is advocating for this man to be assaulted. And that's my issue with Tatum. There was no need for an assault.
They break the window out, get out of the car. He refused. He got the doors locked. He's not opening the door. They had to knock the window out to get him out. Then they had to open the door and pull the seatbelt off of him to get him out. And people say, we had a seatbelt. No, he put the seatbelt on during this traffic stop to cause this problem, right? Because then they can't just pull him out. They got to undo the seatbelt and all that. He refused to get out. Then when they go to pull him out, he go, okay. But then he says, they go, put your hands behind your back. He said, no, don't touch me. He said, no, don't touch. He's holding his arms, resisting arrest. And this guy saying he was complying. No, he wasn't. Roll it. All right.
And likely would have allowed the deputies to remove him, cuff him, and put him in a cruiser. But instead, 3 deputies pulled him in opposite directions while they punched him and threw him to the ground. In fact, when viewing the body cam frame by frame, McNeil can be seen putting his hands behind his back before saying, no, don't punch me.
Hold on. Listen to this guy. He said, McNeil said, no, don't punch me. Where does he get no, don't punch me? If a guy is wrestling with the cops, he's not saying no,
he
don't
was
punch
not
me
wrestling with the cops, you lying
He
bastard.
said, don't touch me. He's telling them, don't touch me. And this guy is saying that he said, don't punch me. The transcript that was put into the video.
The way he was thrown around Tatum, he couldn't even attempt to resist. They were not giving this man any attempt to resist in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know what the hell you're looking at, but I see a man who's getting thrown around like a rag doll, punch and kick. Well, not kick, but hit rather. I'm surprised they ain't tried to kick him.
Associated with the body worn camera has "don't touch me." I hear him say, "Don't touch me." Why would this guy say that he said "don't punch me"? It's the craziest thing ever. Roll the clip.
What if your next social ad was on TV? You already run social ads, but what about running ads on TV? It doesn't have to be some confusing process. You can just use Roku ads.
They forced his arms behind his back.
But despite Neil saying, don't
turn out. They forced his arms behind his back. And just because they got his arm here, he's still resisting. He's not here with his arms behind his back. He's resisting and they're...
Was he pulling away from the officers? Yes or no, Tatum? I do not see where this guy was pulling away or anything. This guy is basically being jerked around in every direction. What is you talking about?
Pulling his arms behind his back. He's not complying. Complying would be, as soon as he got out the car, no, he said, no, don't touch me. And then they pulled it and one hit him in the face. Like, they had to wrestle this guy to the ground. He's looking for a payday, clearly. He wants to fight. He wants to get it out so he can say, oh, they abused me in the house.
Shut up, Tatum. Shut the hell up.
On a payday. Roll the clip.
Punch me.
Go back a little bit, Nick. All right, right there. I want to play the little words in this guy's video. Play it. No. Watch this. Even in this guy's own notes on the side, which he added, "Don't punch me,"
It say no, 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 no. They're saying, put your hands behind your back. No, 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 no. He's saying no, no, no. He's resisting. Don't touch me. That's what he's saying.
That's
He's
not what he
resisting.
was saying.
He
No,
didn't
no,
get out.
no to. I think what this guy was saying. No, no, no to him getting his tail beat, which he did. That's what I think. That's what he was saying. No, no, no to, not no, no, no to him resisting Tatum. I don't know what. Let's keep
To
going.
comply. He didn't get out and say, okay, officers, I'm giving up. Here, I'm putting my hand behind the back. He gets out and stands up and said, don't touch me. And he's resisting. And it take 3 or 4 officers to force his hands behind his back. And he would still be standing up fighting him if the officer didn't check him on the chin, which that officer believed that utilizing that level of force is what.
The punch was not warranted, idiot. It was assault. Why can you not say that?
Executes the arrest. And did it or did it not? He was fighting. He was standing up. They trying to get his arms behind his back. When he hit him on the chin, that's when he complied and went down to the ground. Passively. He still wasn't put.
Again, the hit on the chin was an assault. Why can you not say that?
His hands behind his back where they can handcuff. All this is happening in seconds. Now, people who prosecute this stuff and people who are reasonable understand how this stuff happens in seconds. There's a slight delay, right? Meaning that don't do this and the guy says boom. He could be doing boom while they.
Lord, wait a minute. Was I talking that whole entire time and this thing not on? Oh Lord, my mic's dying. No. Okay, can you guys hear me now? I hope I ain't gotta do this whole thing over again.
Complying, and the officer's still punching him and beating him and hitting him in the face, and we'll have a different scenario. The officer's punching him in the legs. Once he feel like the guy has fully complied, he stop punching his legs.
That's reasonable.
I'm actually going
Punching him in the face.
in this live stream after I'm done with Tatum.
He was punching him in the thighs to get him to comply. Reasonable use of force based on the officer's belief that they're doing what they need to do to execute an arrest. It's simple, man.
And the clerk added officer unintelligible. And the officer yells clearly, "Stop fighting."
He wasn't even fighting.
Legs and lower body several times. Ron McNeil already had his hands behind his back despite being punched.
Time out. Time out. He don't have the right hand behind his back. The officer is pulling his left hand behind his back. His right hand is not.
Wait a minute, Tatum. What is he talking about? His hands are behind his back. You goofball.
But not behind his back like this. One is halfway behind his back being pulled by one officer. The other one is not even behind his back. It's kind of hanging out to the side because he's resisting. What do you mean his hands are behind his back? Because
His hands are behind his back.
to be forced back there. You're saying his hands are no one.
His hands are behind his back and he's not resisting. What is you talking about?
Face twice onto the ground and having his face mashed into the pavement. After the incident, Deputy Bowers wrote this incident report. The suspect.
And yes, his face was not placed in the pavement. It was being pushed into the pavement. Cause I'm looking at it right now. His face is being pushed into the pavement. Yes.
Was reaching for the floorboard of the vehicle.
Lies.
Was sitting. This was obviously written off.
There is no proof that he was reaching in the floorboard to grab the knife. That is an outright lie. From their cameras and from his cameras, there is no evidence of that. So that right there is a lie.
We skip the truth so idiots like Tatum would point and say, "See, I had a knife," and to justify, we already knew.
Yes, he had the knife in the floorboard, but there for anybody to say he was trying to quote unquote grab that knife is an outright lie. Because if you look at the time between the guy, the cop that boxed him in, it was at least a span of 2 minutes. If he wanted to get that knife, he could easily got that knife. So what Tatum is harping on the knife for? This guy did not want to use the knife. He just wanted to be on his way. But Tatum is going to harp on the license. He's going to harp on the weed. He's going to harp on the knife. Tatum is going to harp on that because deep down, Tatum's biases wants this guy to be a criminal. Now, was he cooperative? Not 100%. He was not 100% cooperative. I will admit that. But what Tatum needs to admit to is that this guy was assaulted, plain and simple.
Point and say, "See, I had a knife," and to justify, we already knew it was excessive force. Because it's
It was excessive force.
And I'm gonna be done with it now because it's pointless. I've already debunked everything he said in this video. No, it's more. I'll put a little bit more. But not one time did anybody say that any justification was even argued because he had a knife in the car. People only brought up the knife, including the sheriff, was simply because they're explaining the totality of the danger in this situation. The guy literally resisting arrest for several minutes, shutting the door, locking the door, and doing all that, and he has a knife on the floorboard. This guy which is a deadly weapon in close proximity to him. But that doesn't have nothing to do with anything else because nobody argued that. I didn't argue it in my op-ed. The sheriff didn't argue it. Nobody's argued that.
You did try to argue that. You tried to argue. You didn't, even though you didn't argue it in this video. You did try to argue it in a video that'll lead at your response to the lead attorney. You did try to argue that, not in this video, but the video you did after this one. So you know.
It's because he had a knife. They're just explaining that this guy had a weapon in close proximity. And I don't know what the officer saw. I wasn't there.
Again, if this guy wanted to use that weapon, he had plenty of time to use the weapon. He did not use the weapon. Okay, Brendan Tatum?
They the ones undoing the thing. They can undo the thing and see the knife right there. They may not want to draw attention to the knife, and they don't want them to grab the knife. I don't know. But you went there. You're going to have an uphill battle to try to argue that the officer did see or didn't see something when he was right there. You're not going to win that in court. The officer can say, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't want to say nothing because I didn't want him to grab the knife. I didn't want to draw attention to it. You get the officer to say whatever you want to say. The fact that you're not there, you don't know what they saw and what they were feeling and what their justification was. It's really according to what they said, and the limited body worn camera can give you insight in part to what they thought, saw, and feel, and the reason why they reacted the way they did. But here's another, it goes a little further, and I'm gonna finish it here in Rogan.
Face it, if the officer didn't know that it was excessive force, why lie about it in the report?
Soon after McNeil was outside his car, officers found a large, unsheathed serrated knife on the driver's side floorboard.
But the fact is, the deputy knew that the incident was being recorded from inside the vehicle, which clearly showed that McNeil never even so much as glanced towards the knives.
Exactly.
This is exactly rebutting his own point. The officer knew McNeil was recording. He had his own body roll.
And here's a point I wanted to make. McNeil did not even think about using the knife. And that's the point that Tatum is not telling y'all. Even though Lackluster is somewhat illustrating that point, Tatum is not illustrating the point that this man did not use the knife.
For camera recording. You know, why would you think an officer would tell a complete lie when he know the guy's recording it? He know the guy's recording it. He know the guy's recording that because he said, I'm recording too. So you think the officer, knowing that their video evidence is there, knowing his body worn camera evidence is there, and you think he gonna just make up a lie? When an officer takes the body worn camera off, you load it onto a dock. That dock is downloaded by a third-party company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars storing footage of body worn cameras. I wish I'd have came out with that job. But cops can't review it. There's no video, there's no computers and stuff typically. Now, I don't know what technology has come to today, but when we were there, the body worn camera just came out, and guys used to take their body worn camera, put it on the dock in the briefing room where they charge. When you put it on the charger, it downloads to a third-party company that we don't have access to unless before you request it. Not before you request it, but we have to request the footage. And then the footage don't go to you, it go to the records department. The cop don't get it. It goes to the records department. And then this, I don't know how many hours of footage that's on there. And it's available to the public. Anyway, I wanna
Senator Lindsey Graham stood with President Trump and passed the one big, beautiful bill, a historic investment in border security and needed tax relief for working families. Because Senator Lindsey Graham always puts America first.
For us, every day is refreshing. Whether it's delivering an order to a friendly customer or setting up a new
hours of footage that's on there. And it's available to the public. Anyway, I wanna hit this last point and I'm done rolling. So he just says all this stuff that's pointless. Talk about compliance, whatever. Then he gets to this part later.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you comply, you won't die. It's as simple as that. Funny, said the same thing about the murder of Tyree Nichols, who was beat to death by several cops while laying motionless in handcuffs.
He goes live. I made the video and said the officer was wrong anyway. This guy's...
Come on now. Come on, come back. Never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. With that being said, I've had my take. Hopefully you guys have yours. Peace.